Here you go.
So you can see me and everything?
I can see your SAP.
Okay. And it's on the right screen?
You're on SAP. I see your graph. Last
Okay.
12 months sales.
Perfect. Okay.
And then, oh, I just saw your PowerPoint.
PowerPoint's good?
Yeah.
Ah. Okay. Excellent. Thanks. Okay, so today we're going to be covering pricing structures, basically. So let me just click here. Today's agenda will cover basic pricing. So we're going to cover price lists, we'll cover business partner pricing and how it gets assigned to customers. We're going to talk about item master data and how it gets assigned to items, and then we're going to talk more about pricing structures, discounts, discount groups, etc. So let's jump into SAP. So typically what we see is when we start with SAP Business One and we have a new customer, you're going to have a lot of different price levels and a lot of different customers with custom prices. And we want to generally move you towards a more standardized structure if possible. So in the best case scenario, you're going to have something similar to this, where we have a base price, and you can get to this price lists through inventory, price lists, and then price lists. So in this obviously is a demo system and it's very simplistic. So you're going to have your base price, and then you're going to have several different other price lists here that are based on factors of this main base price. So you can call this base price, you can call it list price, you can call it MSRP, but it all kind of means the same thing. It's the basic price level that you give to your products and services, and then each of these different price lists assigned basically copies this price list and then sets up your discount or factor of that price. Again, over simplistic, but again, we want to move you towards something that's standard. So you can base a single price list off of multiple price lists, and you can do a whole bunch of different things, but I'm going to just try and keep it simple today. You can set primary currency and additional currencies. So if I double-click this number column, you can see all the different products listed in this database, and you can see the primary currency price, which is Canadian, and then you can see additional currency here. So from here you can go through and you can edit these. You can import them through the DTW or the data transfer workbench. You can import multiple price lists through the DTW as well. You can copy this actually now, copy the table, paste it into Excel, edit it, and then paste it back. So if you're above, I think 9.1 or 9.2, I don't remember when the feature exactly was added, but definitely with 9.2, if you're upgraded, you'd be able to copy this table back to Excel, modify it in Excel, and then paste it directly back into this form. So that's really handy. So the purpose of the additional currency is you don't need to maintain a base list Canadian and then a base list US, for example. You can just literally set, if they're on the base prices and they have Canadian listed as their price, they'll use 400. If they have US listed as their price, they'll use 350 in US dollars. If you don't have a price defined in US dollars, then it will just take your 200. It'll put the price as Canadian, but then it'll convert it to a total in US dollars. So again, to make things simple, instead of having and managing the currencies as well as the price lists for those currencies, you can just now combine them into this form. Okay. So the question is now, how do we start applying these basic price lists to the business partners? So I'm going to do a sales order. Use myself as an example here. I'm going to drill down to the customer, and I'm going to see in payment terms that the first place that you're going to have a setting of a price list is from the default payment terms of the customers. So from modules, administration, system initialization, general settings, you're going to have business partner tab, and you're going to see the default payment terms for customers is net 30, and you can see that I have net 30 here. And then when you drill into that, you can see that the price list assigned is the base price list. So just right off the bat, that's where it comes from. The second place that it's going to be set from is the customer group. So from administration, setup, business partners, customer groups, you can see that a particular customer group could have its own price list assigned. So when you add a customer, first it's going to say what's the absolute default price list. Typically it's something like the base price list. And then when you go to switch the customer group, this case to high tech, it could have its own price list assigned, and it's going to prompt you to override that. So again, this is, in this case, the distributor has its own price list, so it would automatically switch the customer group to the distributor price list here. Something to note here is effective discount. At the same time, you're going to see this effective discount, lowest discount setting pulled. You can set this as a default. Lowest discount isn't that typical, usually to be highest discount. So you can say, if there are multiple levels of discounts in the pricing structure, do you want to use the lowest? Do you want to use the highest, etc.? I don't see people using average, total, or discount multiples very often. Usually it's highest. So if there's a sale discount that's higher than a typical discount, then it's going to use that. Otherwise, it's going to use the regular discount. The other way, obviously, to do this is to just manually set the price list. So if there's a, again, we're avoiding custom price lists for every single customer. I mean, sometimes it's a fact that you need to do that, but you can do that if you want. So say if there's a specific customer, maybe they're high volume and they have a specific deal, you could do it that way, but in a minute, I'm going to show you another way to do it just using special prices. Maybe they have a specific deal on certain items or things like that. Okay, so that's where things are assigned on the business partner. From the item, I'm going to jump into the item master data and just quickly show here. If you want to edit a price on a specific item master data form, you can see here price list. You can see all of the different price list levels, and then you can see the unit price in the primary and additional currencies as well. So if you want to quickly make an edit, you can change this here. To note, changing things on the document will not affect the master data setup. You can always modify these manually, change the discounts manually. It has nothing to do with changing this or going back to change it. But if you do change it here, the next time you use that item, it will reflect that price. It will become the new official base price, and it will potentially affect other price lists. So just be careful with this and know that if I edited this here to $375, and then I went back and I looked at my sales order, it won't have changed because it's not re-querying that particular item. So if you wanted to do that, you could edit the item master and then remove this row. You can use Control K. Control K removes a row, or you can right-click, delete row, and then just re-add the item back. I didn't edit it because I have some things set up, but that would be how it works. So back to my PowerPoint here. So we've talked about basic pricing and price lists. We've talked about where the business partners get their pricing source. We've talked briefly about item master data. And now we're going to talk about pricing structure. So there's several different things and different ways that SAP is going to look at these. So you're going to have the basic price list. So it's going to look at the price list first. Then you're going to have period and volume discounts. We'll jump into period and volume discounts first. Then we're going to look at discount groups. Then there's special prices for business partners. So this will work its way up. If there's no special price, it'll go to discount group. If there's no discount group, it'll go to period and volume discounts. If there's no period and volume discounts, it'll go to the basic price list. But if you do a discount group and a period and volume discount, it won't use the period and volume discount. It'll just use the discount group. And if you used a special price, it'll just ignore everything else. So let's show an example of that. So when we're setting up our period and volume discounts, it's under Inventory, Price Lists, Period and Volume Discounts. In my example, I'm using the base price and this particular item. Double click on this row here to drill down, and you'll see that what I did in this one was just a periodic discount. So I said from April 18th to infinity, it's going to be a 12.5% discount, and I just specifically said it's going to be $350. So you could do it this way, and this will apply maybe a special or a catalog special price, and you can set this to be valid from a specific start and end date, and it'll automatically apply that to your document, so you don't even have to think about it. So if we look back here, we're going to see the particular item. It has a unit price of $400 typically, but it has a 12.5% discount, leaving it at $350. And I showed the column through form settings called Price Source to make it easier for me to see. Period and volume discounts is what's being applied there. If you wanted to get into the volume discounts, you must drill down a second time. And you will see here volume discounts by quantity. So if the quantity went over a specific threshold, if the quantity went over a specific threshold, you could make more of a discount, etc. So you can make multiple rows in here to apply a volume discount using the period and volume discounts. So we jump back to our slideshow here. So we did period and volume discounts. Let's talk a little bit more about discount groups. Discount groups exist under Inventory, Price List, Discount Groups. In my opinion, this is the most versatile way of doing a pricing structure in Business One. And some business context and recommendation is to work with the system. The people that get the most out of the system look at the system first and then try to do something that's possible, because it's going to make your life easier. I realize that you want to be creative, and maybe your industry-specific way or your historical legacy way of doing things is a particular way, but that doesn't mean you can't, update your customers and just say, to simplify our lives, we're going to standardize this to 10% discounts, 15%, and 20% instead of 10.5%, 15.5%, different discount levels, for example. So just some recommendations. Look or ask certain scenarios to the consultants like myself, and we'll be able to tell you, like, yes, that's going to be straightforward and we can really easily support that, or no, that's going to be custom, or no, that's going to be really custom or potentially impossible. I think we can do a lot of different things and make a lot of different custom things, but just something to take away is working with the system and learning the system will make your life a little bit easier. So having said that, the discount groups here can be set by different customer groups. So for example, you could do distributor 10%, distributor 20, distributor 30, and then you can set that based on the item group. So in this case I did, for high tech, we just gave them JB printers 50% off based on the item group, but potentially you can do any combination of item groups, item properties, manufacturers, or specific items, and you can combine positive and negative discounts in order to get every single item exactly how you want it for that particular group. So this is a great way to set up a base. You can also layer multiple discount groups over each other, so you can also do periodic discounts here. with this time range. So you could do this as an all BP promotion. And again, if we look back at our chart here, if you did do a period and volume discount, but discount groups exist, it's going to ignore these. So discount groups kind of take over the period and volume discount, so you'd want to work just with discount groups if you were doing that. The other really interesting thing is once you have this set up, it allows you to do your discounts on the row. So let's take a look at that. So we're going to add the second item, which I've conveniently set up here to show you that it's 50% off because Mike Taylor is in a high-tech customer group, and you're going to see it's 50% off there in the row. So a lot of the questions that I get are, how do I do a standing discount? Well, the traditional way to do a standing discount is from the BP, you're going to see total discount percentage, and yes, you could put something in there, maybe they have 10%, but the challenge with doing it through this method is it forces you generally to have it here in the discount. So the system behavior is that a standing discount is on everything in your order, but I've found that this is not something that most people want. Generally, they want it to appear at the row level in order to have more control. So we can go ahead and kind of hack this or customize it so that we can clear this to 0 and then put it on the row. But the better way to do it is to work with the system, and you could just say 10% on all of these item groups, and then it will automatically appear in the row and not on the header. So again, with the row level, if you want row levels, think about the discount groups, because that's a great way to do standing discounts that way. So our last group here is special prices for BPs. So you can see this is at the bottom of the list, but the top of the pile in terms of how the validation occurs. So the special prices for BPs give you the ability to give those special prices to your customers, especially ones that have negotiated prices or different things. If you have to give them a special price on a specific thing that's been negotiated, you can do that. So even if you've gone through and you've done, you've said, well, let's simplify this, let's make our lives easier, let's standardize things a little bit, let's put our distributors in a specific group, and let's merge some of the discounts, let's make things really simple and automatic, but you still have a couple of standout customers that want specific things. You can do that. So you can see here I have done this specific item for this specific business partner, i.e. myself, and it will apply that over everything. So if you did have kind of a custom setup or a really lucrative, say, distributor that gets really good pricing on specific things and the margin is okay for you, you could also do your setup with the price list, do a discount group, and then copy a set of discounts between those small upper echelon of distributors without too much administrative work here. So you can copy that and update it, special prices globally, making your life a little bit easier and automatic. So let's take a look at that here. Number 3. So you can see that this came from the special prices for the specific business partner. So this price source is very useful in order to see where things are coming from. And you can also drill down, say, on the unit price and pick price report. And this will show you other prices related to this particular item. If you have a period and volume discount and you're just wondering where this percentage came from, you don't have price source shown, you can see that you have a last evaluated price cost, base price, and you can see that there's a 12% discount applying it. It's pretty clear here that you can see because the row is blue. I don't know if that's coming through, if there's a little bit of color changing on your monitor, but this is actually blue indicating that something other than a regular price list is being used. So I go to number 4, and number 4 you're going to see, I click out of here, that it's actually black. So maybe the contrast between these two, you can see that it is black there showing that it's just the active price list. Oh, and if you want to see the active price list, you can click Form Settings on the document, and you can see at the bottom price list, and you can actually switch this to change. So some customers, maybe they have container pricing. The customer doesn't always get that price, but they occasionally, if they do a full order, you can just go to price list, switch this to container pricing, and then it'll update everything on the document with that pricing. So I do have a pricing strategy guide, and we'll send this out with the download of this video. It includes all the things I've talked about with all the detail here, and it talks to you about all the different levels of pricing discounts and how they're assigned. So we'll send that out with the information. So we have the price lists, period and volume discounts, discount groups, and then special prices. I've shown you how to work with those. We talked today about basic pricing with price lists in the inventory price list folder. We talked about how to assign business partner pricing and the source of pricing, which is payment terms, customer groups, or manual. We showed you how to do item master data with the prices and how to update them one at a time on a specific SKU, and we talked about pricing structures for discounts. So I'm going to throw it back to you, Tracy.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Mike. Look, everybody, Mike, I already have that document because I think you shared it with Christophe this morning when we had the French session. So
Yep.
I'm going to send this out to you guys, the document that Mike just showed with you. And our next 3 sessions are still going to be in the inventory bracket. In 2 weeks, we're going to be covering transferring inventory and transactions. On the 19th of May, we're covering pick and pack. And on June 2nd, we're covering bin location. So I'm going to be sending those out in the week that we have the webinars. And if you have any questions regarding what we saw today, you've got your support desk. I'm also going to download the recording of this session. I'm going to send it to you guys through Dropbox. So for those that came in a little later, you can revise it with your team. So are there any questions, anybody? No, everything's good. All right, well, enjoy your weekend all. Thanks a lot, Mike. Very interesting. And
Yep.
have a nice weekend.
Okay, bye for now.
Okay, bye.